Hello, good people. Welcome. Today we are going to discuss a lot about geo, about SEO, about anything that can happen in our industry because you need to adapt. You need to find the way how to do it right because many things are changing so fast. And I always looking for new solutions. I test a lot and I'm so excited to discuss a lot more with my old friend Kaspar Szymanski. How are you?
Anatoly, it's lovely to be here on the show again. Thanks for having me. It's been too long.
Yeah, too long, like 2 years and around 6 months. It's a lot. So you can get back soon if you want. So if you want to share something, always welcome back. I love this experience.
Shall we make that a regular then?
Of
Don't worry
course.
about that. We'll discuss it later. But I would love to join the show more frequently, of course. But maybe you should take that call after the show, see how it goes. I may not agree with everything.
Yeah. By the way, I started to learn more about AI search. It's not like to get a bunch of backlinks, because ChatGPT, Perplexity, and all AI search models, they are looking for real mentions like on podcasts, on social media, because I cover a lot of formats. It can help you brand awareness as well. So, and today we have a lot of sales on ChatGPT. Yeah, I was surprised about that, but ChatGPT can sell good, but you need to earn it. You need to give a strong reason to ChatGPT to mention your brand. Kaspar, before we start, just tell more about yourself, about experience, background, about Germany, about New York, about anything that you have in your mind.
Jesus Christ, how much time do we have? I'll try to keep it brief.
Yeah, of course.
Um, for those among our lovely audience that have not have the opportunity to listen to what I had to share at the conference or maybe at this wonderful podcast, my name is Kaspar Szymanski. I used to work for Google Search, and this is a big part of my experience, a big part to what we bring to the table when we discuss nowadays with clients. And by we, I'm talking about, of course, about searchbrothers.com, a company founded by myself and Philip Wiese, the other former Google search employee, senior former search Google employee. Um, we do bring in the experience, indeed. It is a huge advantage that we pass on to our clients, but we are very much data-driven. Data is something I want to talk about today. Anatoly, if you allow. Data is on the forefront, whether we talk about, more established models like Google or Bing, whether we talked about LLMs and AI, it's all founded on data.
Yeah, I only allow accurate data, so we don't need to mislead. But sometimes it's controversial. We don't know what accuracy means because sometimes we need just to suggest, is it accurate or not? And many things are changing. For example, like keyword research. I see two sides. On one side, some experts can say it's obsolete, nobody can use today. It's you don't need to do it because people started to ask long questions in search and they didn't before because Google couldn't recognize the real intent. But AI changed everything. Today Google can reply to all questions with a AI overview or AI mode. Also, even before the AI revolution, what we can see, some experts started to use topical research more. They search for topics, not keywords, and create a list of topics to their content plan and can optimize for that. Today, I see more and more experts can switch to this direction, but some experts stick with keyword research, can support this idea. So I'm interested in your opinion. Can you tell your opinion? Do we need to use keyword research to pay for these expensive tools, or it's better to switch to different direction?
Honestly, and we come from working from a side of working with generally large websites, large platforms, a lot of data. Think retail, travel, for instance, some of the verticals that are most competitive, but also they bring tremendous amounts of landing pages, tremendous amounts of data, a lot of server log data, and so forth. So when we work with such clients, the past experience shows that you generally don't want to jump on the next big thing that is a topic that is en vogue, that is popular, something that is on everybody's minds. FOMO in this regard is not exactly, a foundation of a strategy or something. Fear should not be leading any decisions whatsoever. It is really about what does the client need. I'm going to give you an example here, right? Is it going to be beneficial for the client to utilize the newest tool if the website is not being crawled and recrawled, and be that by ChatGPT bot or be that by Google bot? If it's not being crawled sufficiently or frequently enough, is it going to be beneficial to utilize the most recent tool? Maybe, probably not, because what they really need is for their website to be actually crawled in depth, so the data comes across, right? So regardless which search engine spits out actually available results for prospective clients, for users that are interested in their service or the product, rather than something that is either sold out or something that is non-existent or something nobody cares about because it's not a product like like an old version of a mobile device or an old version of a console or something like that. So it really comes down to the client. And I also want to say something that is really rather unpopular probably in our industry. Not every website does actually require an investment in SEO, because some websites simply are too small or don't require ongoing engagement in terms of SEO. But for the large one, for the sites that work, for those brands that work in a very competitive environment, that operate in a very competitive environment, for these guys, it really comes down to not utilizing the most recent thing, but utilizing the thing that works for them and putting the right thing on top of the priority list. And that is never the newest technology. That is never the newest trend, even if it's legitimate. It's never that. There is just one item which should always be on top of that list, and that is, of course, users and what the users need. Now, how you get there, that's a different story altogether, but you still need to prioritize user experience over anything else, because that's what the foundation of any business model really is about.
Yeah, you mentioned about data. Let's talk more about that. I mean, like, we have a bunch of resources to get data. I like traditional researchers just to speak to customers directly. I love this because I can learn their real mindset. It's like traditional marketing, but the impact is huge when you understand real customers, because I see when people optimize just for keywords to get data from online tools, but the biggest asset, they are customers. You need to understand them. And I know big CEOs can spend time with customers the entire day to ask why they buy their products, what can push them forward. Then after that, they can create the right strategy. So you mentioned about data. Can you tell how to find the right data and how to mix data between talking to customers, traditional methods, using tools, using online studies, or any other resources in your mind?
That's actually a very interesting question. I love your approach, and we actually concur in this regard. We definitely engage with a client or prospective client and want to understand what their business model is about, what they care about, what really concerns them. Obviously, you need to understand the pain points. But then the other thing is really to get the raw data. And in this regard, crawling the website, and I'm going to park backlinks for a moment, right? Because for some websites, it may be more important. For other websites, it's actually really rather secondary. But crawling the actual website, that's critical. How many times do you work around the website where the initial information is, we have about, I don't know, 10 or 20 million landing pages. Just to figure out, ultimately, it's actually tenfold of that when we are talking about 100 and 200 million landing pages that nobody knew really existed. And they might be legitimate, they might be relevant, they might be legacy, they might be stuff that actually supposed to be non-existent, no index, you name it. So that raw data that we gather ourselves is obviously critical because it's completely unbiased and perfectly fresh. And the other source is server logs. And Anatoly, I could be talking about server logs for way too long, kind of a pet project, but having server logs at hand, you can actually understand what search engines prioritize. You can understand the responses, your server responses, which is so critical because you can have the perfect product, you can have perfect landing pages, and if your server responses are not what they're intended to be, that's typically not going to go very well. So that's another source of data that is fantastic. And for our lovely audience, now, among the people that listen to us, vast majority won't be saving and preserving their server logs. So here's hands-on advice, something that I would recommend to any business really. Make sure to save and preserve your server log data. At times, businesses do that for a week or a month just to purge it, to overwrite it, and then of course it's never available again, it's gone forever. Now, if you save and preserve it for a really long time, it is a treasure trove. You can tap into that, you can utilize it for SEO purposes. And if the day comes that the business is being sold, they exit, you can actually utilize your server log data as leverage in order to drive up the purchasing price. So there's a lot of reasons for making that small investment in time and resources to save and preserve your server log data. It will serve you very well.
Yeah, we have the question. Basically, we always get this question, for a long time. But again, we got this question. Let's reply. Huber Hussein, sorry if I don't pronounce your name right, but I try my best. So Huber Hussein is asking, I have a question. I have heard that SEO is dead. Is it really true? Please answer us. So be honest.
Ever since I've been in this industry, since 2006, it's been a while, I heard this time and time again. I don't think it is. Anatoly, what's your take?
I think many things change. But of course, it's not that. It's far from that. When Google will not have any traffic, when Bing will not provide any organic reach, it will be dead. But it's far from that. I don't see that. So basically, companies still get traffic, still get sales on Google. But of course, we need to change the old SEO book that we have, probably checklist. I started to pay less attention to some SEO manipulation tricks, methods, how to cheat the system. And honestly, I don't like some new guides about geo when someone can say you need to make some content chunk, to distribute content in different formats. I think the truth in the middle. First, SEO foundation. If you treated SEO before that just to manipulate the system, yeah, that was that. But if you treated the system to get real traffic, to get real sales, to get great results, if you cared about human beings, if this content worked in other channels, because, for example, if I write an article to my blog, I can distribute this article on LinkedIn Pulse, on Medium, on many other places. I can get results with that. So basically, if your content can work on different environment, if you don't play short game like to buy a bunch of backlinks just to think how to manipulate the system is very smart. You can't cheat Google. Google is very smart. Google has plus 30 years of experience, to figure out this manipulation. But even by now, what I can see, when you invest in this manipulation, you just probably, if you can find, let's imagine you can find the way how to manipulate, probably. But Google will fight with that. And today it's really hard and more expensive to use black hat SEO than white hat SEO. More harder. I remember when I started SEO, I didn't know anything about SEO. I just learned that you need to buy backlinks. I bought a lot of backlinks, more than my competitors had. Google ranked well. I wrote some useless content because I didn't have experience. It's not that I wanted to do it, but I didn't know another way. I didn't have enough skills. When Google punished my website in 2012, that was first in Penguin. Then I started to learn, okay, I need to change something. I need to play by rules. I need to analyze. I got it. That was not the right time to think how to cheat the system. So today is the same. I think like SEO's foundation, but geo is a new way where we need to go. So anyway, it's like, for me, SEO is more going to direction to real marketing, where you can satisfy intent, when you can help people, when you can support them, when you have brand awareness, because without having strong brand recognition, I'm not sure that AI search will show your brand. ChatGPT, Perplexity, all of them, Google, Gemini will ignore your brand. So, of course, it's very important to create strong brand recognition, to acquire loyal audience. We have a bunch of different channels. For example, I was really surprised because we have one project in trading niche. And we this project didn't have any recognition. So basically, we almost started from scratch. And the client said, we need to start with SEO because my competitors have great SEO results. But I analyzed, okay, competitors billion-dollar companies, multi-million-dollar companies. How we can fight with them? And we started on social media. I told him, no. Okay, we can invest a lot in SEO, and we can do in this time, but it's better to acquire loyal audience. And we started to post on YouTube, on TikTok, on Instagram. My biggest surprise was Facebook. Really, I didn't expect anything from this social media, but we repurposed content. We repurposed everywhere and didn't do anything for Facebook, just to republish this content. Today, Facebook can provide 1 million views for all these videos each week. 1 million views, a lot of sales, because Facebook Reels, I can assume, I don't know exactly, but I can assume that demand is much higher that Facebook can propose to the audience. And that is why if you just pay attention to different channels to create brand awareness, it can help with SEO. Without strong recognition, it doesn't work. So SEO is a foundation, it's very important, but geo is something where you need to pay attention as well. It's my what do you think?
Can I actually add something on top, because I think this is a perfect question, and not so much in this regard because it's such a classic, and of course we want to address the other question as well, but perfect because it allows me, it gives me an opportunity for absolute shameless self-promotion. I just got a message a second ago from Search Engine Land, and I don't publish on Search Engine Land or otherwise very frequently, but I did what I believe is, I did publish what I believe is the answer to the initial question, is SEO dead? What I get a lot, and I'm sure you do as well, towards the end of the year, is the question, what's going to change, right? This is what we're talking about. Is SEO dead? Is it going to change? So I actually turn that around in order to provide what I believe, in my experience, is the more important question, including the answer, is what's not going to change, what's going to stay the same. So this is exactly what the article is about. It just went live. It literally says SEO 2026, what's going to stay the same. I'm not going to spoil it to you guys. Go right ahead, have a read. It's not that long. But I think for our audience, for a lot of publishers out there, for the people that compete in really rather difficult, challenging, very competitive niches in the e-commerce vertical, what stays the same, the constant, may be much more promising than trying to chase what may be perceived as the newest, most recent trend or innovation. What's going to stay constant, that's actually a much bigger chunk of what requires attention, as in comparison to the, at times, and in some industries, incremental changes that do play actually an important role in our industry.
Yeah. It's interesting. I spoke with Harry Sanders on this podcast. So basically, he has a huge SEO agency. SEMrush made some rewards for this agency. A lot of employees around the world, and he said to me, he doesn't know the traffic that he can get from Google, but he knows that 40% of all sales are coming from search engines. So he doesn't check out even traffic but he knows that he get sales from that. Because I mean, like today, what I can see, when many people, experts, can treat these metrics differently. I mean, like volume, traffic. I don't care about traffic. Okay, I can get 1 million traffic. What's the point if I can get sales with that? If I get 100 right people who can pay me, for me it's better. Can you speak about bottom funnel? Because I see it's a big issue. So basically, for a long time, many experts optimize content plan according to topical authority. And what I can see, when many content creators use top funnel in order to provide this topical authority, to take these topics. What do you think about that? Is it good strategy, or it's better just to pay attention to bottom funnel?
It really depends, really. I mean, I've experienced an awful lot of times actually disregarding topicality for a long period of time. And I think this is a main reason why some of the answers that we get from Gemini and ChatGPT and so forth tend to be on the rather confusing side, where you ask a question, which is a straightforward question, and your answer is yes, because, alternatively, no, because, bottom line, we don't know. that's because there is so much SEO content out there, right? And us as an industry, we certainly did contribute towards that. But I'm not sure if we are the ultimate culprit to be blamed, because Google, for a very long time, including myself at the time at Google, we kept on preaching content is king. What we should have been saying back in the days was relevant quality content is king. Now, what a lot of players industry ended up doing is generating content. And there's this famous example, almost like, an SEO walks into a bar, that kind of joke, where every website would have the best pizza recipe, the best New York pizza recipe on their website, with no regard whatsoever whether it's topically relevant or not. So you have this real estate websites with the best New York pizza recipe as a landing page on the website, because they want to rank for that. This is exactly what we've been talking about, right? So getting traffic, that's not a problem. Getting traffic overnight, actually not a problem. Getting relevant traffic, completely different ballgame. Getting converting relevant traffic, more challenging, yet more rewarding, because traffic in itself is nothing. That's just cost. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't promote your business. It doesn't promote your sales. It doesn't generate revenue. What you actually want, you want to be relevant for the thing that you're offering, and that you're preferably offering better than someone else. And content can be helpful in this regard, even supplemental content. I'm not against that. But what can help, actually much better than that, is actually data, and specifically making the content understood. Simple things such as internal linking are woefully neglected in this regard, to show relevance, to show connections between bits and pieces of data. And in sales, it comes down to things that are as trivial as items that, clients that purchase that item that you're looking at also like the following items, right? It helps sales, it helps boost sales, it also helps internal linking, and of course link juice flow, but also crawling more in depth of the website. Goes hand in hand. So when we talk about SEO, when we talk about topicality, for me, the critical element is the website actually understood by bots? And frequently the answer is, it could be better. Not entirely not understood, but it could be better. And this is the bits and pieces in terms of technical improvement or content improvement that can be done. And now that we're talking about content, I think this is a critical one. And a lot of our audience will be like, content, that's so boring, right? That's not innovative at all. Well, how about you check on the web platform, yours or one that you're really interested in? How about you check whether not available or not found or sold out is part of the on-page content? And if it is, it doesn't matter whether that's a user comment. It doesn't matter whether it's actually the description of an item that is currently unavailable or sold out entirely. Whenever it is the case, that's entirely confusing for search engines, because search engines do not get, is it now sold out or isn't it? We don't know. It's a 200 OK landing page, so it should be technically available. That's how soft 404s are being created, something that can absolutely kill sales. So content, topicality. That's where I'm coming from.
Nice. Kaspar, I have a bunch of questions according to your reply. You mentioned many times content. I try to count all the time when you mention content, but I
we're going too fast.
Yeah, I lost my track. But anyway, so, and we have a question about that, basically. So someone asked if the website can get #1 position, but AI search can ignore this website. Can you provide the solution for content creation? Because it's very controversial. Today, I can see many recommendations that you don't need to write 2,000 blog articles because AI search doesn't need it. Users don't want to search like in old SEO, I remember like Brandon taught us to write long articles. It's not that because he told we need to write long articles, because he could write articles that people want to consume until the end. So when I opened backlink, I could learn the entire article because that was valuable, useful for me. That is why I spent time. But it doesn't mean that you need to use this time print for everyone. Yeah, it should be different. Can you tell your methods how to optimize for AI search and search engines?
And again, it's different for every single website. So, right,
Mhm.
when we talk about that website that sells exclusively albino cuddly animals, that's super niche, right? I don't know if it even exists. I hope it should, because then we would definitely buy an albino orca cuddly animal for my youngest. It's such a niche vertical. You need to only publish so much. Now, the question was, I believe, about SEO, right? So that's a really rather more competitive environment, and an area where you bring considerable expertise to the table. I have some of my own, and that would be publish, but don't publish, as you said, 2,000 articles. You won't be able to generate or actually edit manually content that is high class, that is relevant, that is unique, that is refreshing, that isn't really run of the mill on that scale. So quality is going to suffer. It's going to get very little attribution, very little attention. People won't talk about it, people won't reference it. So the strategy that we follow in this regard is publishing infrequently. And it doesn't have to be the 9,000 word article every single time. It's great to have these, but you have to approach a topic from a fresh perspective, very in-depth perspective. It takes a lot of time. It's a lot of effort, and you have to essentially have the time for that kind of editorial work. And not everybody, is as prolific as Churchill used to be. I can't write that fast. It takes really much time for me. So I do publish shorter articles every now and then on something that is either poorly understood, something that is much relevant. Case studies are fantastic in this regard, or I shed light from a very different perspective. As an example of the article I mentioned just a moment ago, everybody focusing on what's going to change, or much of the industry is focusing on what's going to change. My take, let's take a look at what's not going to change, because that seems initially less exciting, but something different, something fresh. Now, what I like doing is publishing across different platforms. So search engine land being, of course, a fantastic one. There is other alternatives to that. I do also publish in other languages. You have to have reputable sources. And then, of course, engagement. And I'm not just talking about us talking right now, which I thoroughly enjoy, but there is the conference where you would go to. That's an opportunity to give an interview here and there. You do get requests for quotes or for your opinion contributions every now and then. Go ahead, do just that. It accumulates over time. It's very, very hard to fake reputation in the industry as competitive as ours. So you have to build it. It's heavy weightlifting, but it does pay off. That's what it does.
Kaspar, let's talk about AI generated content. I remember when ChatGPT was released, many experts said, now AI can't replace humans. It's impossible. AI can't write like human beings. That was true at that time, because the first version, 3.5, that was not good like we have today, 5.2. And Gemini 3.0 is really impressive. I like this model. And today, many experts can admit that AI can write better than real experts, because AI can write in 1,000 different styles, if not millions. You can ask everything. AI can write in different styles, different languages, and quality is good. So if you feed AI with the right data, AI can provide real results. For example, I stopped cooperating with editors. I cooperated with editors for a long time, but for now I can write a terrible copy, not terrible copy, valuable copy, but I can ask AI, please improve readability, simplify, add some data points, and it works great. So, but I still see when people tell, okay, it's AI generated, Google can punish for that, don't do it. I think in the beginning that was the case, but not today. What do you think so about AI generated content?
It comes down to the prompt, doesn't it? I mean, if it's a very generic, very
Yeah.
if you know what you're doing. It's like a hammer, isn't it? I know if you're an expert, you know how to use a power tool or any kind of tool, then you can put it to good use. And if you don't, you're gonna hit your finger and you're just gonna be in pain. So it comes down to the prompt. And you are not a particularly good example because you're an expert, right? But I think out there might be a lot of people who, with so much as a learning curve, may try to go ahead and generate content on the assumption that it's basically a one-click solution. And it's not that. You have to understand what you're talking about. You have to give it some input. You have to direct it. You have to refine the prompts. If you do that, if you commit this kind of time and if you allow it to learn what it is that you're expecting, the results can be actually quite interesting. It again comes down to how much input there is on your side, on the user side, and how deep do you go? Because if it's something that is very generic, you are likely to get excellent results pretty much right off the bat. If it's something that's very specific, as in a very technical issue or analysis, in-depth analysis and experience come into play, it might be more difficult. There is, however, an exception, then that's coding. In that field, AI is fantastic. I mean, it reduced the production cycles massively, it reduced cost massively. But for developers, well, good for some good developers who use those prompts in order to be more efficient. It really depends how you're using it. It can be a godsend, it can be a blessing, it can be a curse for websites or for publishers who essentially go ahead and replace their entire editorial team with one-click solutions and get content generated, which is essentially clickbait, just to be dropped shortly after publication because they just want to have a couple of clicks from Google Discover. That's a risky strategy. But then again, I don't want to be pointing fingers because this is the kind of strategies that lead people to come to us once the damage is done in order to undo it. So I'm not entirely unhappy about it either.
Yeah, I think, I completely agree with that. I couldn't say even more. But one more thing that I want to add from my side, from my experience. So, what I can see, yes, it's very important to know the topic. For example, if you ask me to write any great content about health, weight loss, finance, I can't. I tried, I can't because it's generic. I don't know these niches. I don't know what kind of value can I bring. I just use ChatGPT to set up, I don't know, very generic prompts, nothing special, and I can surprise people who can consume this content. Second thing, what I can see, you need to know how to write, because I cooperated with some great experts in accounting who work with Fortune 500 companies. They have plus 20 years of experience in accounting. They know everything about accounting, taxing, but they don't know how to write. They don't know how to create interesting content. It's not about value. It's more about creating non-boring content. When people take content, let's imagine Brian Dean. I love this content because it's storytelling. It's interesting to read. It's well structured. And many people are impatient. If you can't win their attention in the beginning, they just leave. They bounce. Bounce rate is high because it's boring. So very important two things. Still important to write manually. I write manually because I keep practicing my writing skills. Because if you know how to write, you can guide AI in the right direction. And second, you need to know the topic. So, from my experience, yeah.
Yes,
And
expertise. Exactly what you're saying, right? I mean, and that's the reason why experts probably gets us a little bit, full circle to the initial questions. To the initial question suggested as SEO that, well, for some people, but expert knowledge, the insights that one gains while actually working with every single client, right? We get better every single time we work with the next large client. That's not replaceable, not easily replaceable. And that's something that is valuable while utilizing these new opportunities. It's exactly as you're saying. If you know what you're talking about, it really can be a fantastic tool to both improve writing and the editorial process, especially like in case of myself. I'm not a native English speaker, so I'm actually glad to to have a chance to make sure that the wording and the spelling is just perfect. But also to go ahead and utilize it in order to broaden the prospect a little bit, to factor in new ideas, different ideas, more nuanced approach, not just one-sided, because you're the expert, you know what you're talking about. And this is most definitely an opportunity. Rarely a solution, as in a silver bullet solution, one that fits everything.
Yeah, nice. Kaspar, let's talk more about modern SEO, about geo, what we have today. I want to ask questions that people usually ask me. So, and I like different opinions. Sometimes I disagree, sometimes I agree. And I know some experts who can say controversial things, including me. So I often share some unpopular opinions, but it works for me. So I never criticize anybody else. I think like everyone can have own opinion, and we don't know what exactly can work. So something can work for someone. That's okay. So I want to ask about link building, PR, about authority, because according to data, what I can see the last time, that AI search, including Perplexity, ChatGPT, Google, they prefer fresh links or fresh mentions. So basically from new pages that were published like for a while ago, not like years ago. But some experts keep saying, no, you still need to use old white hat SEO like skyscraper technique, broken link building. The impact is huge as well. So different opinions. It's really tough to analyze because probably in some niches, PR can work better. In other niches, link building, probably when users still need these links from these pages, it can provide real authority. But from your experience, what do you think? Because I mean, like, I remember when I used skyscraper technique, we spent a lot of time, to personalize these messages, to learn recipients, to find this list. And it's not like Brian Dean can share after sending 100 emails, he can get like 20 backlinks. It's not true because it's really tough to get even 20% of responses, So, but yeah, and my best results after sending like 150 emails, we got 2 backlinks. Yeah, and we were happy with that. But it's really tough to see the real impact from this job, influence. So, what do you think about old strategies?
Well, if those two links that you received were either from google.com and Bing or bing.com, I think you would be still happy, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
But to answer your question, a slightly different perspective that I like to embrace is that these are not mutually exclusive, or one is preferable to the other. Brand building, brand outreach, brand marketing, I think this is critical in a lot of ways, and in ways that impact SEO for sure. I always refer to the fact that having high brand recognition is critical for the times that you actually don't get any traffic from search engines or otherwise, right? You want loyal customers to recognize the brand and be like, all right, this is the thing I'm looking for. I don't need to go to a search engine. I know where to find it, direct type in traffic. Preferred, independence, alternative source of traffic, converting traffic, really good quality traffic as well. Now, at the same time, from an SEO perspective, brand building is fantastic, and particularly when we're talking about Google, because this, of course, comes down to user signals, right? So we may have websites that have huge volumes of impressions, right? And very, very, very tiny CTR, which can be, which the cost of which can be either the snippet representation is really poor or nobody knows the brand. And if your brand is actually very well known, everybody thinks now of the favorite brand we're doing shopping online. If you know that brand, you're looking for an item, this is one of the top sites that pop up, you're going to go ahead and click on it because you know the brand. Brand recognition boosts the user signals, in turn that boosts rankings. That's the reason why recognizable, large, popular brands are so high up in search. Now, separate from that, there's of course links, any kind of quality links. And my experience really is that the vast majority of websites out there really doesn't need additional or more links nowadays, right? And links is still a factor, and it's most certainly a factor. It's the fabric of the web. Without links, there would be individual websites. They wouldn't be interconnected. You still want to link out. You don't need to apply no follow. You still want to receive links, of course. But this is not a top priority area of expertise. This is not the top priority item on the list of, okay, this is our SEO strategy for 2026, 2027, and 50% of our resources we're going to commit to generating more backlinks. That's not a future forward strategy, right? That's something from 2006, maybe 2010, but certainly not much later than that. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So backlinks, yes, relevant, but they pale in comparison to technical signals. They pale in comparison to user and content signals. So if anything, this is a secondary battlefield that needs to be factored into a holistic SEO approach. If a holistic technical SEO audit is being conducted, you do factor backlinks, of course, because they can have a positive or negative net impact on the rankings, but it's not something that you do consider a top priority because there's much bigger fish to fry.
Yeah. Anyway, it's better to analyze, to analyze, to check competitors, for example, in the top 10. And choose the right strategy. But I agree. I don't think that you need to over-invest in link building, because first, if you don't have great content, it's useless. If you don't have brand recognition, it's useless. Probably you can acquire some good backlinks, but without content, without brand recognition, without technical optimization, it doesn't work. It doesn't push the needle. Links, I mean, like, it's like fuel. If you have engine, if you have your good car, then yeah, you can put this fuel, and yeah, it can help to go ahead, to outrank your competitors. I have very important question about mistakes. So what we can see, people keep using many things that don't move the needle, and the main reason, because someone can share in case studies, it works. But even I remember John Miller replied to this question. You can't say today that some factors can impact better than others. I remember when, probably that was in 2015, when someone from Google said about that content number one, links two, and rank brain third factor. But John Mueller said about that, it's not true, because it depends on the niche, it depends on the keywords, it depends on specific case. Probably in some niches, people need authority. They don't want to buy, because without authority, they don't want to take actions. That is why, for example, if someone wants to buy expensive thing, they go to Amazon, because they know they can get back, if return if they don't like it, refund, many things. And even if you have better content, but if people need this authority, customers need, so it's really tough to get results. So you need to build this authority. In some niches, it doesn't make sense. Probably great content, better content without even links can rank higher. So can you tell from your experience, which mistakes you can see content creators, webmasters still do, but you can't recommend them?
Love to. I just want to add one more thing to what you were just saying.
Yeah.
Language is another factor, right? It depends on languages, because in some languages the index is so much smaller as in comparison to the English language, or German, or Spanish, as you know, or all the large languages, if you may. Common mistake, most common mistake. God, I see that really rather frequently. Shouldn't be giving that away for free. Marketplaces retaining archived content.
Mm-hmm.
It's a nail in the coffin, because you have to think of large websites, right? We're talking a website, medium-sized website. A medium-sized website gets, say, 50,000 new listings per day, every day. Now, these are either gonna get sold or they expire after some time, say 14 days. So roughly every 14,000 days, there is another 50,000 landing pages, which are a very bad user experience. Now, they can remain indexed, of course, if that's what you want, as in, an archive just for browsing for users. And I don't think this is a particularly successful and promising strategy, but you can keep that if they're no indexed. if they remain indexed, they're essentially contributing with all the entire content that is around there, right? So you have that one item what you're looking for. I don't know, that be a Nintendo Switch, something that's a big topic in our household these days. So Nintendo Switch, and then you have all the items, all those Nintendo Switches and the games that have been sold at some point. What's going to happen next? All these landing pages within the same marketplace, they compete against each other, right? So these signals are not only inconsistent, this is entirely confusing. It, of course, kills the crawl budget. There is no crawl budget optimization happening if we have a lot of content that is expired. And that's, of course, a terrible scenario. Very good for whoever comes in and does the actual cleaning, because subsequently, the website, of course, is going to soar once the content becomes available and cleaned up, and it doesn't cannibalize, because that's what's happening. It's cannibalizing against each other and competing against everybody else. So retaining content that is never coming back, that's a very bad idea. And there is, of course, the other scenario, and that applies in particular to retail, where content may be temporarily unavailable. Different story. There, no index is acceptable, right? So we have that item that we have on sale, it's sold out, it's coming back eventually. Now that we can put on no index. But there is this tendency to retain those landing pages because they accumulated quality backlinks. Very unlikely in the case of these items. I mean, these are products. They do not tend to attract the kind of .gov backlinks, that are fantastic and legitimate and everything else. And yet there is a tendency to not kind of call these and 404 these as it should be, or smart 404, which is actually the most clever way to go about it, to retain some of the traffic and maybe direct the user to something that is an alternative item for purchasing still available. And having these websites blow out of proportion really, really, really fast is really very dangerous, because at some point there is not enough crawl budget for fresh content to be crawled in a timely manner. So by the time it is actually being crawled, it is actually already sold out, and that of course kills sales over time.
Yeah, nice, love it. We have a question from Mr. RRB probably. So, but yeah, it's tough to read this question. But I think the main point about how to teach AI with fresh data, probably to get content that will rank high. So probably I think like the main question, how to put this data that you have and convert to content that AI search will rank. What do you think?
Well, you have to create a prompt, right? So obviously you have to tell the LLM what it is about, right? In my case, that would be if I playing out the scenario now. I'm an SEO professional. I would probably call myself one of the world's leading experts. I want to get across my message, which is technical. Let's talk about server logs, my pet project, my favorite topic, and the target audience. Now that's really important. What's the target audience?
Mhm.
Is the target audience really rather technical? Is it decision makers? Because that's very different phrasing, right? You have to use different terminology depending on what your target audience is, and then you refine and refine again, and you can apply similar strategies to anything anything that you're talking about, and you can factor data into it. The point being not necessarily so much fresh as accurate. They can be both. Data can be both fresh and accurate, but accurate is the relevant part, because you can have fresh data that is not accurate at all, and that is not necessarily helpful.
Yeah.
So make sure that it's actually accurate, reflective of what you need, what the message needs to convey.
Mhm. I have the question, but not from human being. The question from ChatGPT, because I asked him if you can ask Kaspar Szymanski the question. What kind of question can you ask? So, and ChatGPT is interested, based on what you know from inside Google and from thousands of penalty cases. What do ASIOs still fundamentally misunderstand about how Google evaluates trust and risk? What do you think?
Not a bad result, is it?
Yeah.
I think it's really rather accurate, and you see, it's reflective of the many publications. This is
Mhm.
the topics that I end up raising or addressing um, on podcasts, of course, at times publishing stuff, but also at conferences. So this is what ChatGPT is picking up. This allows us to revert back to the previous question: how do you build that rep? Publish, talk about the stuff where you're the expert in, publish and publish again, not just on your own blog. I also want to say that we should probably have mentioned that previously, right? So let's assume for a moment that you have something to say, your message is relevant, interesting, you actually do stand out. Don't just publish on your own blog. Go ahead and publish across those channels where the people actually already are. Those large, um, those large channels that attract a lot of readership, and that way be, if never ever present, omnipresent, be present as far and wide as you can be.
Yeah, nice, nice. And the next question from Gemini. So Gemini, by the way, I asked to ask one question, but he shared a bunch of questions. So I choose one. If you were building a brand new authority site today, strictly to avoid future volatility, what is one standard SEO practice you would completely ignore?
Did it say that you can't avoid future volatility? Because that's what the answer should have been.
I don't know. I think like probably Gemini is interesting. What doesn't put the needle? I don't know. Probably what doesn't make impact today
Yeah.
from SEO practices checklist that we have. So probably where you yeah. What do you think? I think like keyword research from my side.
Um, Depends. Don't apply the no index across board. Don't mix no index with canonical. Um, I also think, those queries are really rather interesting, but for myself, for yourself, for our audience, obviously, but we are a relatively small group, right? I mean, if you ask much broader questions, you probably get more compelling answers, because as much as we, of course, are an amazing industry to be in, we are a really small industry with relatively little content going around and about. To answer your question that you asked Gemini, I would probably be very mindful of canonical and no index indeed. That's something I see happening an awful lot of time, but it depends, right? If we have a one pager, just make it really fast, then you would be avoiding volatility. But then how do you want to avoid the volatility if you're selling Christmas wrapping? There
Yeah.
will be volatility there. I mean, no matter what you do, there will be just one quarter in the year where you can sell Christmas wrapping. There will be no sales happening in June, will they?
Yeah, nice, nice. And my final question is for me about Search Brothers. Can you tell what is your strong side? Because I spoke with a lot of experts, plus 800 experts, including Neil Patel, Rand Fishkin, real big names. And what I can see, all of them have own strong side. It's not like someone can know everything. Probably you have a big trouble if you can believe that you know everything. So when I see SEO experts or SEO gurus who can say, I know everything about SEO. If I learn, I understand. Probably I know less than 1%, even less than that. So, Kaspar, can you tell about your strong side? Why you are different and why customers need to cooperate with you?
And I love the fact that you're mentioning that, sometimes it's important to acknowledge what one doesn't know in order to gain further insights. I love that. Thanks for asking. Myself and Philly Visa, the other co-founder of searchbrothers.com, we, of course, bring to bear the full experience that we gained while working at Google Search. Philly used to be a developer at Google Search, and that's an advantage. It's a huge advantage that we have that we pass on to our clients. We do have our own tools. We have our own tool infrastructure. So while we apply the expertise that we gained while working at Google and subsequently working with countless clients, we are data driven, like I suppose rather few organizations. We do process server logs in petabyte volumes, server logs being again one of those areas that are really rather rarely explored, yet offer incredible insights into how a website can be optimized. And where we really excel is working with very large websites that have the capacity, manpower, but they also have a grown baby there, right? They love their website. The team is large. They work on it every day. They love it. And they are not quite capable of taking a long, hard look at those legacy setups, at the technical side of things, at the architecture, infrastructure, and say, this is the reason why the signals aren't really stringent. They are not in line. The signals are not pointing in the same direction. That's the reason why Google really isn't, Google traffic really isn't what we wished it to be. Helping clients to get their websites to fully live up to the expectation or go above and beyond is hugely rewarding, as you know. And yeah, we have been enjoying doing this for a really long time. If you're asking for a unique selling proposition or what makes us stand out, it's me having Philly and the other way around. We work really closely together for now, almost, it is actually 20 years by now,
Wow.
and keep enjoying it. So it is a rather unique story, I suppose, in our industry.
Nice, nice. I like this word enjoy, So I think like if you don't enjoy your job, it's better to leave your job and find something else. Yeah, I think like that because 75% of people hate their jobs. It's a lot. So people
Sad,
are
isn't it?
yeah, but they're chasing quick money, fast results. But it's better just to find what you actually love. For example, I can work on Saturday night, on Sunday evening because I love it. It's not, I can replace like watching TV or playing online games. If I enjoy it to create content, to spend time on that, yeah, it's my hobby, it's my job, so I don't see a big difference. But my wife doesn't understand that. So she thinks I need to spend more time with family, but that's normal, family issue. I'm trying to find this balance. Uh, Kaspar, thanks a lot for taking part on this podcast, for sharing these valuable bombs. You don't need to wait 2 years to get back to share more valuable bombs. So welcome back anytime to bring more value. Tell the best way how to keep learning from you, how to reach out to you, how to follow you.
Well, for anybody interested, obviously there is searchbrothers.com, and I'm really rather active every now and then on LinkedIn. If you have any questions, if you want to keep a low profile, swing by the website, come to LinkedIn, add, connect, engage. I'll be happy to talk. And there's, of course, conferences. There's a busy conference season coming this year. I'm very much looking forward. I do believe it's going to start next week. So if you're interested in the conferences I'll be attending, speaking at, and engaging both on stage and subsequently, please have a look at my LinkedIn profile. And then Anatoly, please allow me to say thank you so much. Love your show, love being on the show. It's such a pleasure engaging with you. So I'll be looking forward to our next conversation, which will hopefully much sooner, not only in years to come.
Yeah, of course, of course. Welcome back anytime, guys. I recommend to anyone to follow Kaspar on LinkedIn because I follow. I need these valuable insights. I know our industry is going fast. If you don't learn from great experts, it's really tough to get great results. But it's very important to learn and implement. Execute. Without execution, anything can work. So you can learn all insights in the world, but if you don't execute them, nothing will work. For me, it's better to play more than to learn. So I usually 80% of time I just try things. I can fail many times. I'm trying, keep trying, and I can make a lot of mistakes every single day. I can make a lot of mistakes, but I keep going ahead. I love this experience. Okay, guys, thank